everybody. My name is Jeremy Silverman, and I am the host of the Mental Health Podcast, and I thank you for joining us today. Our guest today is Kimiko Donahue, and Kimmy and I have known each other for a really long time. She's got some great things that we're going to cover today and talk about, and her musical interest today and choice was Dream Theater. Dream Theater, fantastic band, lots of complexities in their music and in their lyrics and writing. And Breaking All Illusions is the song that we're going to be talking a little bit about today. So without further ado, Kimmy, thank you for coming on the show today.
Absolutely.
It's great to see you. So what's been going on? We've known each other for years. We cross paths all the time. But just tell me a little bit about what's going on in the world of Kimmy today.
Oh, my goodness. A lot. I think what's really cool about music specifically in the last couple of years, joined a couple bands, started singing live, and actually currently working on some original music as we speak.
Man, that's awesome. I love it.
And of course, it's metal. Right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I love it. So tell me a little bit more. I know you have lots of businesses and things going on. For the sake of today, and I know there were like two in particular that you really wanted to focus on. So in particular, what's one right out of the bat that's of interest to you?
Yes, the one that I'm going all in on is coaching and teaching others how to do the same. So over the last few years, sold my insurance company back in 22. And, some people hit that kind of midlife identity crisis. I'm fortunate enough to do it in my early years. So I hit that identity crisis of like, oh my gosh, who am I? What am I going to do? And got introduced to neuro-linguistic programming, essentially communication, mindset, and just went all in. Started learning about, how we speak to ourselves, how we speak to others, and I was like, I want to teach people how to do this. Like, this could really change some lives because it did for me. So that's probably my biggest focus right now.
That is super awesome. So tell me a little bit. You just said it changed your life. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about that.
Oof. Oh, yeah. That's going to be a podcast in itself. So originally, I was introduced to it because it was a communications course. I'm like, oh, I'd love to be a better communicator. I used to struggle speaking, believe it or not. Yes, it was a limiting belief. But the thing that came out of all of that where I really had some baggage was around parenting. As you know, you know me, but the audience doesn't know me. I became a single mom at the age of 20. So I had to support me and my daughter for, the rest of our lives. I work a lot. And I've always been someone that's had multiple jobs because I enjoy working. And I used to carry a lot of mom guilt, because I wasn't spending time with my daughter. At least that's, what I saw. And then one day she said, Mom, you don't spend enough time with me. Oh, yeah. No, that was like dagger in the heart. And I went to this 4-day NLP course, and we learned about reframing. And it was reframed to me, well, of course she wants to spend time with you, Kimmy, because you're a badass mom. And like just that one single sentence changed my relationship with my daughter, with myself. Now she's studying the same thing and learning how to reframe and help her friends out. And that's what changed my life, was around the area of relationships and reframing.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wow, you kind of left me a little bit speechless for a second. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Obviously as parents, I have 5 kids too, and that guilt, dads get that guilt too. Mm-hmm. And I never really thought about that, the idea of reframing it in that particular way. And the fact that they're really crying out because they love you and want to spend time with you so much. But, we get into our own thing,
right?
And we don't even realize that.
100%. Yeah.
Man, that is really, really cool. So let's talk a little bit about your love for music. We can go on.
Yes.
This is
Yes,
something
please.
we're gonna have like a whole season of podcasts for this. When I met you, it's been almost 15 years.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I remember you sharing a picture with me of you in a Metallica T-shirt from high school.
Yep.
So let's reel it all the way back.
So Metallica was my introduction to metal, of course. I mean, when I was little, I loved music. I loved dancing around and singing. Both of my parents are also big music fanatics. So I grew up having music appreciation nights where each one of the family members was to bring an album and we'd all have to sample the entire album. So regardless of what kind of genre or whatever. So it was cool because it opened the entire family up to just different kinds of music. And I would say elementary school, I was listening to things like Spice Girls. I loved them. I had a Spice Girls birthday party, people. Okay, but yeah, introduced to Metallica, and I'm like, oh, what is this? And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I really want to play guitar. I want to play this stuff. She's like, cool. Before you play any other instruments, you got to learn how to play piano. So, typical Asian family. So I learned how to play piano, but never learned how to read music. I totally faked my way through it. I remember the piano teacher, he's this older gentleman, turned the page, and I'm still playing something else because I learned to play by ear.
Right.
And I totally got called out, and sorry, Mom. I know you spent a lot of money on that. but yeah, Metallica, and then eventually, learned about bands like Pantera. System of a Down was one of my first live concerts.
SOD, yeah.
Yeah, and then I just went all into that. I love that kind of music. It's the energy and the type of people that you meet in that community is amazing. Yeah, I would say what I found with the metal community is they're probably one of the most accepting communities out there. Mm-hmm. So we're a bunch of misfits, man.
Yeah, we are.
We're
so now we fast forward to today, and now you're in 3 bands, 4 bands? I don't even know. I can't keep track anymore.
I can't either because one of the things I will get better at one day is saying no. But I think I love music so much that when there's an opportunity to go sing and collaborate with other musicians, I'm like, let's do it. So currently, my lineup is I'm in a tribute band to Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, Iron Priestess.
Love it.
We also have a band, Neon Dragons. So we do a variety of metal covers, anything from Queensryche to Dio. But we're working on some originals.
Nice.
Yeah. And I may or may not have a couple other projects coming up, so stay tuned.
Interesting. So you were just at 191 Tool last weekend.
Yes.
So how did that go?
Amazing. I love being on stage. I love playing music with these guys. I've been super, super lucky to just be surrounded by super talented, just amazing people. They're really supportive of what we do, supportive of me. Everyone's super supportive of the ideas that everyone brings to the table. I think I've learned more about people and relationships with band members than I have in business. Oh, yeah. I'm serious, because, musicians have personalities, okay?
Creative differences, people.
Yes, we got a lot of personalities, but it's been really cool to manage that and
right?
Yeah, grow.
So when you're when you're talking about the challenges, it's funny because I'm just picturing, like, I can't even tell you how many band arguments I've been a part of or heard of or listened to. So when you're dealing with that with the band, how do you take your professional experience and do conflict resolution? Mm-hmm. How do you handle that?
I think the first thing is making sure that everybody feels heard. I think the reason that people will raise their voice or argue or make a scene, however you want to call it, because, we'll be real, we're all a bunch of divas, right? Is just making sure that they feel heard, even if it's something you don't necessarily agree with. So I think making sure that everybody has a chance to voice their opinion or voice the solution that they think is correct, and being willing to compromise. I think where I see a lot of bands break up or have issues is they just couldn't communicate with each other. So for what has helped us in the bands that I'm in is actually having band meetings that have nothing to do with practice.
Nice.
Just let's sit around a table, order some pizza or something, and let's just hang out and chat.
Right.
Whatever that might be. Get it all out, let everyone be heard, and then figure out a solution from there.
Really cool. So you've had a lot of journeys. I haven't even talked about your affinity for motorcycle racing.
Yeah.
If you guys do not know, you need to check that out. Where do you stand with that? Are you still riding it all, or?
No, I ended up buying a bike a few years back. Took it to the track a couple times, and then here's what it is. My racing was on the weekends, but right now my weekends are music. So I really, I'm prioritizing music right now.
Yeah.
Will I get back into it? I never say never, but the music thing is just, it's been such a cool experience that I don't know if my weekends will be free anytime soon. So we'll see.
You've got a lot of bookings, I see. If you haven't had a chance to check her out, you need to check the bands out. So let's talk a little bit about struggle. Obviously, getting to where you're at has a cost. So let's talk a little bit about that. Was there one or two instances in your journey over the last several years that really stand out as far as challenge, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah. Well, I think I would say, if I was to look back at my entire life right now, and I've had a lot of really cool wins, a lot of really exciting, very lucky things happen in my life. I think one of the biggest areas of improvement for me was relationships. And I think a lot of that stemmed from not knowing my own values. That's not something that they teach us as kids,
Yeah,
you know?
no,
Yeah,
no.
you grow up and you figure that out, and they change. And, going through personal development and learning about what is important to me helped me realize, like, what's not important to me. And that makes an entire difference in your relationships and the people that you have in your circle,
Right,
you know?
right.
So yeah, I think struggles for me in my life had been relationships, I think around confidence and choosing, a good partner, things like that. And who you keep in your circle really does affect your life in general, like how you show up to work, how you show up as a parent,
Right.
If you're with people that suck the energy out of you, you're not going to show up your best self. So I think, yeah, as far as struggles, that. It was picking wrong people.
I can absolutely agree with that. I think there have been many times where I've been in that same place and have had similar conversations. I do think you're the strongest of the five around you, and you have to really look at that. So how do you deal with days where maybe, as a lot of artists, and even like you said, as divas, everybody has their own imposter syndrome and their ways of dealing with their insecurities. What's a modality, or what's a way that maybe you work through those types of things?
Oh, I love this question because this is what I'm literally working on right
Right.
now. I would say, we all have I don't want to say bad days. I don't want to label it that way, but moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think back to a time when I was younger. A lot of us go through teen things where we get super down. I don't want to label it depression, but let's do that for, the sake
Sure.
of conversation. And I remember talking to my mom about that, saying, "Mom, I think I'm depressed." And she's like, "Oh, honey, you're just blue." What? What do you mean? She's like, "Everyone gets blue now and again, but it's just a moment." And she reminded me that what I was feeling is only temporary.
Yeah.
And I've carried that with me, and I think it's helpful to remind people that there's always going to be moments, and remembering that you can change your state. We decide how we want to show up and feel that day. So for anyone listening, if you are having a moment, find yourself what's called a pattern interrupt. So if you're sitting at home and in your feels, what works for me, this doesn't work for everybody. My personal method is allow yourself to feel the feels for a second. Give yourself permission for that.
Yeah.
And then go do something different, even if it means just getting out of the house or doing something creative or call a friend. We have a mastermind group that meets. We call it the Sounding Board. It's for musicians.
Nice.
Because for musicians that do hit the imposter syndrome, or you feel like you have a creative block, or, man, the day after performing live, you get that adrenaline dump. The next day is like,
The hangover
yeah, or you
without the alcohol.
Yeah, exactly. Or you might feel a little down because you don't have that excitement, having what they call, I think it's like 7 or 8 minute friend, someone that you can just call and just vent to. Hey, I need a few minutes from you. And then they know, oh, I just need to shut up and listen. But now you have someone that you can reach out to regardless of what you're going through. I think
And
that's
I
so
love
important.
that. The 7-8 minute friend.
I think Simon Sinek that talks about that.
Really,
Yeah.
very, very interesting. So, what would you say to people out there that are, they're chasing that dream, they have that vision, but they just are not quite over the edge. They still have that hesitation, maybe a little lack of belief.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to them at this point?
Oh, this is also something I love to dive into because I was there too. I think nobody's immune to imposter syndrome. I think the importance of visualization and knowing where you want to go and then showing up as that person is really important. Perfect example today. I'm like, okay, I know I got a podcast going. Real talk, everybody. I had to slam some coffee because I was feeling a little low energy.
Sure.
And so in the parking lot, I just kind of sat there, took a couple deep breaths and said, how would I want to feel after that podcast is done? And show up as that. So if you are getting ready to perform or you're feeling a little bit less than expected, think about how good it's going to feel after you did that thing.
Right.
Show up as that, whatever characteristics those are. Maybe you stand a little taller. Maybe you take a deep breath and all of a sudden breathe in this confidence. I think that is so incredibly important. And going back to what we were talking about, surround yourself with the right people.
Right.
Sometimes it does help to have that external validation really quick. Hey, I'm about to walk into this thing. Do you have any advice for me?
Yeah.
Or they, just being open to those nuggets that you can pull from your friends, or put on a song. Maybe a certain song puts you in a state.
Right.
Like most people have like a workout playlist. Mine of course is metal. I have certain songs that I'll play. Like back when I used to shoot, I'd have a certain song that I listened to on the way to the range of like, oh, it's going to be a good day,
Yes, by the way, people, she is a very good competition shooter. That's interesting because music's where we're going next. So let's unpack Dream Theater a little bit. Yes.
There's a lot there.
I know. This is exciting when it comes to that. So with unpacking Dream Theater a little bit, why Dream Theater?
Because they are complex as hell. Any kind of progressive music, a lot of people call it math rock because time signature changes. It's very dynamic.
Right.
I've always been a fan of bands that also incorporate different genres into their stuff. Actually, have you ever heard of 5 Foot Ninja?
Yes.
Not 12 Foot Ninja, not
12,
5 Foot.
yeah,
I'm 5 Foot Ninja.
5-finger death punch, but but 12.
No, 12 Foot Ninja. Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll put like reggae and like jazz and stuff into metal, and it's badass. Anyway, Dream Theater.
Dream Theater.
Yeah.
So breaking all the illusions. When I had sent you some of the questions for the show, I really wanted to. I wanted to dig in because we've known each other for a long time. Yeah, I wanted to pull something unique and different out of it. And so when you had mentioned Dream Theater, I mean, Mike Portnoy, come on, that's all you got to say.
Yeah. He's back.
He's back. Yeah, exactly. And so breaking all illusions, here's what I pulled out of it. And I love this verse, your living is determined not so much by what life brings to you as by the attitude you bring to life. Not so much by what happens to you, but as by the way your mind looks at what happens out of suffering. The most massive characters are seared with scars. And when I start looking back at that, and I'm looking at your path and knowing you for this time and watching you, I've had the privilege to be able to actually watch from afar, but also, at a close, your evolution over the years of all these things that you've been doing. And it hasn't been without some scars.
Sure.
And so where do you see yourself going in the future?
Helping people that gone through the same thing. I think one of my, going back to values, like one of my biggest values that shows up in everything, business, relationships, life in general, is kindness. And I think people have a different definition of that. I think for me, it's going to include acceptance. It's going to include allowing people to be who they are with no expectations. And I would love to help people become that. I think, a lot of people have experienced bullying or have seen that happen. I think that's a big place in my heart. I've seen people get bullied. I was bullied, but I think what really boiled my blood was to see other people get picked on for things that they couldn't control. And I think just even in today's day and age, especially with things on social media, people are so quick to judge and label things. And, we all have our own definitions of said labels. I think if people were just a little more curious, I think we'd see a lot less of the,
Yeah.
not the good kind of.
Yeah.
That's the bad kind.
I love that. The good kind of. If people wanted to reach out to you, what's a good way for them to contact you?
Yeah, I am. Well, so far, I think I'm the only Kimiko Donahue out there, so you can find me on all the social medias. But the best way would be shoot me an email. It's going to be Kimi, Kimi, @pressplaycoach.com.
Awesome.
I'd love to connect.
And and the people that would be looking to work with you, or you'd be looking to work with, describe a little bit about what those people look like.
Yeah. I love working with high performers, people that just want to get after it and take action. Maybe there's just something in the way or something that you're avoiding, and I would love to help you overcome that.
Oh, that's awesome. So in the spirit of giving, relief and, assistance and help and coaching, what is something that's burning in the back of your mind, a dream, a vision? I mean, I know you have probably a whole list of things you still want to do in life, but what's that one thing that's just burning a hole in your soul right now?
Helping people that have felt misunderstood or underestimated. I think especially around neurodiversity or mental handicaps or whatever you want to call them. I like to call them learning differences because
Yeah.
you just have to look at life a little bit differently. I think a lot of people with those labels or diagnoses are misunderstood. A lot of the diagnoses are misunderstood still. And growing up in a household that experienced that, I would love to help others that are currently going through that and kind of figuring out their identity around, let's say you do have a new diagnosis or you find out that, it's affecting your work or showing up in your relationships, and how to overcome that or just change what you're doing a little bit to make it better.
What kind of results would they expect to see, working with you?
Yeah, extreme confidence. You're going to feel lighter, and just by you showing up different is going to help others. There's totally a ripple effect when you get rid of your. Am I allowed to curse on this mental health show? When you get rid of your bullshit, I used to. So fun fact, I used to not curse because I have a diagnosis of Tourette syndrome. And that was the one thing I didn't want to have a tick of is saying curse words. So I avoided it for the longest time. But, listening to metal music and being around band people, the F-bomb shows up everywhere. So
They say that word is used for higher intellect people, by the way.
They say that. So I'm like,
I'm not
maybe
sure
I need
about
to lean
that.
into that. Yeah, so I don't drop F-bombs.
We're not experts in that, by the way,
No.
people. Okay.
But
Disclaimer.
I think once you get rid of that, whatever's in your way, you show up different. And I think people see that and go, I want more of that. How do I become that? And now you become a leader by example, by getting out of your own way,
Yeah, and I can say there's been many times where I've been very much in the way of myself, and it does take a certain amount of retrospect, humility, and to be humble enough to accept the fact that we're not perfect. But there are people and there are techniques and modalities that can help you work through those specific things. So if there was one thing in particular in your therapy, specifically that you could give an example that you worked with a client, where you saw great success, what would that look like? Or could you describe that to me?
Yeah, actually, I'm working with a client now who, when they first came to me, was thinking about selling their business because they were super burnt out. I mean, done, had no joy, no nothing. We've been working together since April, and they're now bringing on a business partner and excited to scale and getting to now explore other things outside of work that lights him up.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, I mean, I know you can relate to this, but a lot of us that have been entrepreneurs or currently are, a lot of it can be very easy to tie a lot of your identity to that. So if that ever goes away or you decide to make a shift in that, now you go, now what? Now what am I going to fill that space with? So I've always been a huge advocate for having something outside of your work, outside of your relationship, something that's for you, that gives you energy. I think a lot of people ask, Kimmy, why do you do all the stuff that you do? I'm like, because it's fun. Life's
exactly.
short, man.
Yeah.
Go do a bunch of cool stuff. Why not?
Yeah, I get that too. A lot of people say, wow, you have a lot of things, you do a lot of stuff. And I'm like, it's just because I'm interested in a lot of things, and life is, you can either survive or you can thrive. You make that discernation and that decision. So You said you might have a few new projects coming up.
Yes.
Any hints? Any clues?
Yes. Original, lot of creativity. I'm just, yeah. I'm gonna be. I decided I wanted to be more of a creator than a consumer. So
Nice.
I'm currently working on writing a book. I've had two things on my bucket list for years. I'm usually someone that I'm like, oh, I got a goal. I just go get after it. There's two things that have been sitting on my list, and one of them was writing a book, and the other one is fitness competition. And I'm looking at those, going, maybe I don't actually want that. Maybe that's why I haven't actually done it. And the book recently, I'm actually working with a coach on this, and he's like, well, what's in the way? And I was like, I just haven't made the time. He's like, how about you just design the cover first? I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. So I got super excited to design the cover.
Right.
And he's like, now go start talking about it. I'm like, all right, cool. I started talking about it. I'm like, oh, now I have to do it. You know? So it was really cool. He lit a fire under me.
You put it in the universe and you spoke it into existence.
Yeah, shout out to Nikki T on that one. But I'm super excited to work on that. So all about creativity, writing music, surrounding myself with people that are doing that as well. Full immersion. I think if you're going to do something, go all in. And I think a lot of people, to your point, think that means that's all you have to do. You can go all in on multiple things. Right. I think that's where the misconception is. And I think people misunderstand a lot of people that do a lot of things. Well, what's your niche? Well, no, I'm the niche. I don't need a certain target market necessarily. I just like to be me. And if people want to hop on board and follow, let's go.
Hop on the Kimmy train and go.
Woo!
Well, Kimmy, it's been a pleasure with you being on the show. I thank you so much for being on here, and it's been, again, just an immense pleasure. To our viewers, I just want to say this. I want to say a quick prayer. Thank you, God, for this opportunity. Thank you, for Kimmy, for being in my life and being able to bless others on this particular show. It's been very, very informative. And for those of you, again, the Mental Health Podcast is for those business owners, collectives, individuals, and people that love music and love to share their life experiences and challenges. I thank you again for tuning in.